Story time, story time, story time again. Story time, story time, story time again.
Hi, my name is Barbara. Welcome to Once Upon a Time, the video story time of the San Bruno Library. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I have a lot of fun books to read. We're going to read about books and the library today. My first story is called Do Not Open This Book. And that's different than the instructions you usually get at the library, right? Let's find out why. Let's see, and it's by Michaela Muntean with pictures by Pascal Lemaitre. Well, there's our friend right there. And he says, "Excuse me, but who do you think you are opening this book when the cover clearly says, 'Do not open this book'? If a sign on a door reads, 'Do not enter,' do you enter? Of course you don't. The least you would do is knock first. The reason you weren't supposed to open this book is because it is not written yet. Look at this blank page. Look at this jumble of words. Caution, thinking in process. You think it's easy to put a book together? Ha! Now go away, I need time to think. Now what? Can't you see I'm busy? I am trying to decide what story to write. Perhaps I will write a scary story, or maybe a bedtime story. After you go to sleep, I will be able to get to work. Even if you are snoring, it will be better than having you stare at me. Ah! Why are you still here? Okay, I have an idea. If you sit very still and are very quiet, I will try to work while you are watching me. But please, no matter what you do, do not turn the pages while I am working. Page turning during story writing can cause words to blow around and they might end up in the wrong order. Okay, so here I go. I'm starting my story. We're going to turn the page. A ferocious storm swept through the forest. A tiny mouse hid beneath a pink flower. A tiger paced and flashed its big sharp teeth, trying to take a bite of the roaring wind. Remember, do not turn the page. Here we go. Oh no! Oof! Big, ferocious mouse flashed sharp pink teeth. Uh-oh. And he sat on the box of dangerous words, and they're all leaking out. Darkness, snake, pitch black. Here it is, pitch black darkness. I warned you about what might happen if you turn the pages. Now you see, you have to be careful with the words. This time, I am going to make sure that you do not turn the page. Very heavy rock. Do I have to tell you again, do not turn the page? Ah! Oh, you are very strong. Do you work out at a gym? Okay, I give up. Since you won't go away, I will make this story about you. What's your name? Oh, I cannot spell that. I'll tell you what, I will leave a blank like this. So whenever you see a blank in the story, say your name. Ready? Okay. Now you can turn the page. So you ready to say your name? There once was a giant pest named, say your name. There it is again. You had huge eyes, humongous ears, and too many teeth, also a big nose. It did not matter how many times you were asked to go away. You would not go. Finally, I had to call the giant pest control company. Hello, I said. I am on page 29 of an unwritten book, and a giant pest named you will not stop bothering me. I cannot work, and I cannot stand this for another second, so please send someone right away to help me get rid of you. Ah! You are still here! I thought my story would make you so mad you would slam this book shut and go away. Don't you have anything better to do? Maybe you could go bother someone else. Maybe you could go watch your toenails grow. This way, toenails. Oh, look, I am almost out of pages. Wow, I wrote a whole book. It was pretty good too, wasn't it? The part with the big ferocious mouse was scary, so in a way it was a scary story. It was a bedtime story too, because I am certainly very tired. I am going to sleep now. Goodbye, and thank you for helping me write this book. I couldn't have done it without you. Now go away. Good night. And here's his dream. He gets the book award. There's his crying parents. They're so proud. Caution, sleep in progress. And that's do not open this book. Don't go away, because I have another book about not reading a book. All right. This is called Why I Will Never, Ever, Ever, Ever Have Enough Time to Read This Book. This is by Remy Charlotte with pictures by John Muth. All right. Why will I never have time to read this book? I dreamed I had time to read this book. But if tomorrow goes like it did today, I will never, ever, ever have time to read this book. Then I woke and yawned and stretched, turned over, then fell asleep again. Woke up, uh-oh, I'm late. What an amazing dream I had. Think she finished the book? I got out of bed, put on my bathrobe, put on my slippers, went to the bathroom, let the shower run till the water got hot, got out of my bathrobe, got out of my slippers, got out of my pajamas. Careful, don't get the book wet. I don't know if you can see, but she's reading the same book that I'm holding right here. Those are the same pictures. Then I took a towel. Oops, sorry. Still sleepy. Took a shower. Washed my hair, got out of the shower, dried off with a towel, dried off my hair, hung the towel up to dry, brushed my teeth, brushed my hair, put my slippers on again, put my bathrobe on again, took my pajamas back to my bedroom. Did you wash behind your ears? Hung up my bathrobe, took off my slippers, put on some underwear, put on some socks, put on a shirt, put on my overalls, fluffed up my pillow, stuffed my pajamas under my pillow, made my bed. Then I went to the kitchen to make my breakfast. There's the book. It's a little wet. Got out my bowl, put some cereal in it, cut up some banana over the top, put a few raisins all over that, poured some milk over it all, took a big spoon and ate it all up. Who left this book in the refrigerator? put back the milk, the cereal, and the raisins. See the clock going? The time's ticking. Threw out the peel, washed off my bowl, the knife and the spoon, cleaned off the table, took my vitamins with a glass of water, put some tuna in a bowl, mashed mayonnaise in it, spread it on bread, packed it into a bag with a can of juice, fed my cat with some leftover fish, dumped the garbage, washed my hands and the bowl and the fork. Put on my boots, put on my sweater, put on my hat, put on my scarf, put on my coat, put on my mittens, put on my backpack, went to look for my book. Where's my book? Where is it? It was right here. Who took it? It's gone. Hurry up, we'll both be late. It's 5 minutes to 8. Went to school, did all kinds of things. Ask if anyone likes apples. Maybe someone doesn't want the whole apple. Oh, how do you divide 7 apples among 6 people? Here's the answers. Ask if everyone likes apples. Maybe someone doesn't want a whole apple. Cut each apple into 7ths. Cut one in half. Buy a pear. I give up. Make applesauce. Then I came home, took off my coat, my scarf, my hat, wrote down what I did and still needed to do, like patch a hole in my pants. They got caught on a nail. There's the list. Then I started to worry, so I called all my friends to say I was worried that I would never, ever, ever, ever have enough time to read this book. Can I use the phone now? While Father was cooking, it was my turn to watch the baby. Hush, dear, I'm trying to read. Then Father said, come set the table. Oh, there's everybody coming over. When we sat down to eat, I thought I could take a quick look at my book. Might it be better to read your book later? Then I really felt tired, so I went back to my room, took off my shoes and socks, overalls and my shirt, put on my pajamas and opened the window, stuck my head out to smell the night air. You left your book on the table. Then I turned down the covers and crawled into bed. I tried to read, but was so tired I was falling asleep. So you see, with all the things I have to do every single day, why I will never, ever, ever, ever have enough time to read this book. Nighttime is for sleeping. Tomorrow is another day. Did you finish your book? You did enough today. We can't do everything. I'm working on it. And that is why I will never, ever, 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 ever have enough time to read this book. So that's pretty surprising that the librarian is reading you stories about not reading books, right? So after the break, we're going to read some more stories about the library and about reading books at the library. I hope that you'll come and get some books of your own from the library. You can read them at the library or you can read them at home. All right, I'll see you in a few minutes.
Why do you like San Bruno Cable?
I like that it's the same people at the counter. Oh, and they also know me by name.
I like that it's a local business and it keeps the money in our community.
I had a problem with my channels and I called and they came out that same day.
I didn't even have to sign a contract. The other guys wanted me for 2 whole years.
When I called to set up my cable service, they asked if they could come out the next day. I thought I'd have to wait a week for an appointment.
Thank you for choosing San Bruno Cable.
Hey, how's it going? Meet my friend Lou. Lou only says something when it's very important. Right now, he's saying replace my battery. Now he's saying fire, get out of the house. Once this guy gets going, there's no shutting him up.
Smoke alarms, a sound you can live with.
Hi, welcome back. All right, so now I have some books about the library and reading books. This book is called Library Lil by Suzanne Williams with pictures by Stephen Kellogg. And this is a fun story about a kind of a super librarian. There she is. I bet you think all librarians are mousy little old ladies, hair rolled up in a bun, beady glasses peering out at you over the tops of those beady eyes peering out at you over the tops of those funny half glasses, an index finger permanently attached to lips mouthing shh. Well, you don't think that, because here I am, right? Bet you never heard about Library Lil. Lil wasn't always a librarian, of course. She was a kid first, just like most people. Lil in the tub, 1 year old. Lil in secondhand rose, 3 years old. Lil on the soccer field, 5 years old. I bet you can't see she's reading a soccer book. Lil builds Fort Rose, 7 years old. And like most kids, Lil had a wild imagination. She loved to read, and she imagined herself the hero of every book she checked out of the library. By the time she was 8, she'd read all the books in the children's room. Yes, Lil was a fast reader, and she had the most powerful, strong arms, too. When the 3rd grade soccer ball got stuck under the principal's car, Lil retrieved it. Dun-da-da! She's lifting up the car. Her strength might have come from carrying all those books around, for when Lil ran out of children's books, she started in on the encyclopedias. She used to check out a whole set at once. She'd walk down the street reading the A volume, held open in one hand, while she balanced the remaining volumes on the palm of the other hand. She turned the pages with her teeth. Whoa. So it was no surprise to anyone when Lil grew up and became a librarian, landing a job in the nearby town of Chesterfield. The townspeople soon dubbed her Library Lil. Lil's specialty was storytelling, but when she advertised a story time in the local newspaper, no one showed up. And when she posted a list of the fantastic new books she had ordered, no one came to check them out. It was clear that the people of Chesterfield were not avid readers. Television was their favorite form of entertainment, and Lil did not approve of TV. Devil's invention, she called it, keeps folks away from good books. To Lil's way of thinking, TV was an evil that ranked up there with poison ivy and mosquitoes. She knew she had her work cut out for her. One horrible, stormy night, the wind blew down some power lines. The whole town of Chesterfield was plunged into darkness. TVs popped off like flashbulbs. This was the chance Lil had been waiting for. She fought her way through the driving rain to the town's ancient bookmobile, battling 80-mile-per-hour winds that threatened to carry her away like a feather in an updraft. Unfortunately, that old bookmobile had been sitting around too long. Its battery was deader than a pickled herring. But did that stop Library Lil? No, sir. Up and down the streets of town she went, pushing that bookmobile ahead of her, just like a baby carriage. By the end of the night, every man, woman, and child in Chesterfield was reading a book by the flickering light of a candle. The power was out for 2 whole weeks, by which time the townspeople had solidly formed the habit of reading. Suddenly, folks were borrowing more books than they had in the entire 50 years since the library had been built, and there was standing room only for Lil's story times. Not long after the storm, a motorcycle gang rode into town. The leader of the gang was Bust-em-up Bill. He was a towering 6'7", and when he took off his jacket to play pool, he revealed a skull and crossbones tattoo that would scare the wool off of a sheep. Now, At first, Lil took no more notice of Bill and his gang than a duck would of rain. She was only interested in readers, and they kept her plenty busy at the library since the storm. So while Bill and his gang hustled pool at the local tavern, Library Lil checked out books. It wasn't long before Bust-em-Up Bill found out about Lil, though. You see, he was in the habit of watching professional wrestling on Tuesday nights. So when Tuesday night rolled around, Bill expected to watch his favorite program. "Where's the TV?" he yelled at the bartender. "Don't have one, sir," said the bartender. "Nobody in town watches it anymore. Too many good books to read." "No one around here watches TV?" Bill roared. "What's the matter with you folks?" The bartender chuckled nervously. "Lil has made us all into readers." "Readers?" Bill laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. He faced his gang. "Did you hear that? These lily-livered cowards read books." The way he said books left no doubt that to him it was the filthiest word in the English language. "Who is Lil?" He spat the words out like bullets. "Our librarian!" squeaked the bartender. "Where is she?" growled Bill. The bartender cringed. "She'll be parking her bookmobile across from the library in about 10 minutes, sir." Bill stomped toward the door. "Let's go," he grunted to his gang. When Lil arrived, she found the parking lot filled with motorcycles and surly bikers. "Move your bike," she called. "You're blocking my parking space." "Tough cookies, sister," said Bill. "It's your fault I'm missing my favorite TV show." "Listen," Lil said, "I don't want trouble. Just move the bikes." The gang stood their ground. "All right," said Lil. "If you won't move them, I guess I'll just have to move them for you." "Did you hear that?" Bill shouted to his gang. "She'll move them for us. Sister, if you can do that, why, I'll... Bill glanced at the bookmobile. "I'll read a book," he finished. It was the worst thing he could think of. Lil grinned. She flexed her skinny muscles. Then she stooped down, reaching under one of the motorcycles. Straightening, she suddenly hoisted the motorcycle with one hand and tossed it onto the street. It cost her little more effort than flinging an apple core. Bust-em-Up Bill and his gang watched with their jaws hanging down as Lil threw motorcycle after motorcycle onto a stack reaching up toward the moon. When she'd cleared the parking lot, Lil drove the bookmobile on in. Then she climbed down and headed toward the library's front door. "All right, boys," she called out. "I am open for business." Bill's boys tried to sneak away, but Bill hauled them by their collars. "Not so fast," he growled. "We're all getting books. If anyone tries to leave without one, he's going to be reminded why my nickname is Bust-em-Up." It wasn't very long before every man in Bill's gang was reading away. Of course, some of them hadn't learned too well in school, so Lil gave them some easier books to begin with. Several of the guys got into a fight over who was going to be the first to check out The Mouse and the Motorcycle. Fortunately, Lil found some extra copies and calmed things down. There they all are, The Mouse and the Motorcycle. We have that book too. Last time I was over to Chesterville, they'd added a new wing to the town library. Seems Lil's been busier than ever. She's had to take on a library assistant to help out. The new assistant's a big fellow. The townspeople call him Bookworm Bill. The kids think he's a whale of a storyteller, but then he learned from a master. Since Bill's been on the job, Lil says there hasn't been a single overdue book. I think she's kind of sweet on the guy. Says she's even taken to watching a little of The Devil's Invention, particularly on Tuesday night. There she is, watching TV. All right, and that's Library Lil. I have one more book to share with you. That's a different kind of book. It's called The Little Red Fish. Let's find out why a fish might be in the library. This is by Tae-Yun Yu. Gigi's grandfather was a librarian at an old library in the middle of the forest. One day he allowed Gigi to come along with him, and Gigi brought his friend, the little red fish. It was the first time Gigi had ever been allowed to go inside, and he was amazed by all the different rooms filled with books. He explored from one corner to another. There's the fish. Soon he grew tired and fell asleep. When Gigi opened his eyes, the room was dark and quiet. He felt as though he had been swallowed up by darkness. Scared and lonely, Gigi sat near the light of the moon and began reading a book to his little red fish. But when he looked up, the fish was gone. Gigi began to search for his fish from bookshelf to bookshelf and room to room. He caught a glimpse of a little red tail flipping high over a shelf, and so he followed it. He almost caught the fish, but it disappeared again near an old book layered with dust. Could that be the fish's tail peeking out of the middle of the book? Gigi picked it up, and when he opened it, something magical happened. All of the fish looked the same. Which one was his? Gigi realized that his fish was hiding in the book. He reached down to catch it, and as he tried, he fell down into the book. There he is in the book. There he is, and there's the fish. Diving down. Got it! I got the fish. Back in the library, Gigi opened his hands, and there was a little red fish looking up at him. He gently returned it to his bowl. Gigi placed the red book back on the shelf and took his little red fish home. He whispered to the fish that they would come back to the library very soon. The end. Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll come to the library and check out some of the books that we have there. And also we have story time in person at the library every week. We'll see you later.
So sit me down and let the spell begin. I'll find myself in story time again.